Hello, and welcome to another video here on the John Doc YouTube channel. For those of you guys that have been continually watching, I want to thank you guys for your support. Thank you for your consistency, as I have been not so consistent lately. Today, as you can tell by the title of the video, we are talking about Slick Rick, our white turbo 3rd gen Camaro. Because we haven't talked about it in a little bit. We really haven't done any serious race car stuff since PRI, and that is because we have been extremely busy with our storm work. If you guys are interested in doing storm work for me, we have a training day rodeo coming up March 2nd. It's the first Saturday in March. Get you guys well versed, get you guys signed up, give you guys a little bit of a brief overview of what we do. All of the work that we do is on the job training, so you guys can get a head start by coming here and learning about it. We have been expanding all over the country. We work really strong on the East Coast. I'd say 90% of the work we do is on the East Coast, and we'll go all the way up as far as Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, all the way down to Florida. But my main, where I focus on is Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and I just picked up Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware. So when you're looking to make some extra money, it's a very good gig. 3/4 ton truck, we can furnish the rest of the stuff. You have to have a 3/4 ton truck, a pintle hitch, and you have to have some work attire. It is a super easy job. The pay is really good. And, I call it the race car fund. There's a number of guys that I know that have built some badass race cars solely just from doing storm work on the side. If you own your own company, if you have a seasonal job, it is a very good gig. So you guys can send me an email at johndocrecovery@gmail.com. What I will do is I'll disperse you to someone on my team, and they will be able to reach out to you guys and get you guys signed up. And, it's a great opportunity. 2024 is going to be a very busy year for the stormwork stuff, so if you're looking to knock back some serious money, highly recommend it. But enough talking about the stormwork. That's really the reason why I haven't been so consistent, and that's really why we haven't been racing a whole lot or going out and doing testing. We've been doing a lot of work in the shop prior to PRI, getting cars together and really getting our ducks in a row for the 2024 season. 2023 was, I call that the season of growth. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about racing. I learned a lot about Holley. I learned a lot about losing. I learned a lot about the chassis stuff. I learned a lot about welding and fabricating. I've learned a lot about the wiring side of things. I've really sharpened my skills on a lot of things where, if you guys think back to the start of the John Doc YouTube channel, I didn't work on anything. I couldn't weld. I didn't know anything about wiring. I couldn't even turn a wrench. And now it's just, I've been growing and learning about all of this stuff, so I can be a multifaceted threat in the race car program. But my main job, which I don't think a lot of you guys understand as far as the race program goes, it's my job to put the right people in the right places to be successful. So this year, I'm kind of keeping my cards close to my chest. I'm not going to reveal too much information, but what I will say about Slick Rick is, it's been south of here. That's as much information as I will disclose. We have gone over the car. It did end up going to a chassis shop and going under the knife and getting some modifications done to it. And that's what we're going to talk about today, really, is, I know what some people are saying. They're like, man, Slick Rick really was running good towards the end there, and it was, but we quickly realized where it had some flaws for what we were trying to do. So we took it to the chassis shop and made some changes to hopefully eliminate some of the issues. We were lacking the consistency and I guess the forgiveness in the chassis as we were looking for. So I'll pull up some videos of what we have, and we're just going to put them up on the screen, and I'm going to freeze frame some of it and show you guys what kind of caught our eye on how we knew there was some things that were, the car flew. I've been the fastest I've ever been in a race car in Slick Rick, and the car drives absolutely amazing. We did make some changes to it. We have been running that one spring on the rear end, and now we'll have 2 springs on the rear end. Just some of the stuff that I felt like wasn't necessarily helping us. It might not. I don't think there was any benefit, but it might have made it a little bit more challenging on our end. So we got rid of that stuff. So the first video that we are going to pull up So the first video that we're going to pull up is, I think, the first shakedown before we went into eliminations at Mike Hill's Night of Fire. So the car itself drives absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm talking about you let go of the button, you hold the wheel. We got the chassis sorted out, and that was something that it took some time to do. That we went to the track, it was driving one way, it was driving the other, and then we got it sorted out. But you will see where we really were kind of having some issues with it was, you know, super aggressive on the chip. As you guys see, it's always shooting flames, and that's just because the turbo's so big. We've had it wicked up. Power management we were doing mainly with timing. You have to have the boost up pretty high because the turbo's so big, keep the shaft speed up. You'd see when it leaves, I want the whole car to pick up the whole thing, front and back. I want it to separate in the rear and separate in the front and keep going. You'll notice that the front picks up more than the rear, and then it tops the front out, and then the rear starts going after that. But as it gets further down track, it really just loses the front end, and it just starts like shoving the front end into the ground. So I fought a lot with the car where I couldn't keep the front end up, and it would do some really weird stuff in the shock. We're tracking front shock travel and rear shock travel. So the front end, the shock would come up, but then before the rear is even started to come up, it started losing the front shock. So it's not like it's overpowering it where it's shoving the nose down. It was literally just losing the nose. The G would be increasing. So if you think about it, the car's accelerating harder, and then the front end starts getting pushed down. Bar angle issue. So we moved the bars around a bunch in the car, and we got it to the best we could with how they were set up in the car. Now mind you, we're not saying there's anything wrong with the chassis. It might be wrong for us because there's a million ways to skin a cat, but also the combo change, where the weight is, your weight bias on the nose, how far past the front axle, the front, or I guess what you call the axle, the front spindle is the weight. All of this stuff plays and has an impact on how the car works. So we moved the bars around. We got it the best that we could as the chassis allowed to be able to hold the front end up as long and as hard as it could. If you see pictures of the Black Sheep, that sucker goes down track fully extended in the front and in the rear. And that's kind of what I would like to do. Obviously, if it's like a wedge, it's going to push the nose down. But you can see in this video, I'll do like a freeze frame at the finish line. I mean, that nose is stuffed in the ground, and it started, I actually had to change the front spring to a heavier front spring to try to keep it up because it was scraping the front end as it went down track. We'll show you guys a different angle here. This one's a little bit harder to see because it's close, but you can see it in the first little bit. It'll have about an inch of separation when you click the button. And the front end comes up good. We had the front end working great. No travel limiters. It's a strut, so we're doing everything with just how tight we're running the front. So I had the front topping out where I wanted to, but I couldn't get the back to react early. It would separate like an inch, and then it would flatline, and then it would separate beautifully. So I was, you know, is that because it doesn't have a second spring on there and it doesn't have as much stored energy? It's tough to really say. You don't know until you try. But the way that we had it set up, we couldn't. The size spring I had, I couldn't run two of them because I couldn't get a soft enough spring. So we went to a shorter spring with some more tender coils and stuff like that. You can see when it leaves, the front end comes up and the rear just doesn't really separate. Let's see here if we get another angle. This one here is against ZZ Top. So this was first round of eliminations. And you could really see it here when it picks the front end up. This was the front end was a little bit looser. It picks the front end up, and it's leaving like a slick tire car, and it gets out probably 30, 40 feet, and then the ass of the car starts coming up. You want it to happen all together. And I am like, I was obsessed with separation before. I think it looks cool, but I'm starting to lean towards like, do you need to have 10 miles of separation? I've seen some really, really fast guys do it without separation. So I think like instant center length and instant center height doesn't. If you can do it so many different ways. There's not one set, like, hey, every car needs to be set up this way. It's kind of like a golf swing. Everybody's built different, so not everybody could swing the golf club the exact same way. You have to figure out what swing works best for you. There are some key components that every good golfer has, just like there might be some key components and consistencies between this fast car and this setup and this one, but how you do it is based on your setup, really. And then I think the last one, we got a video from behind, and the car goes down beautifully. I mean, the times that it ran at this race, I was stoked with. I was happy with. I really had no complaints, but what we lacked was the consistency on a marginal track. Everything was set up so aggressive. The track had to be perfect. So when we went to a marginal track, the chassis just wouldn't work. And that's when we kind of said, like, hey, we're not going to be racing only on flypaper tracks forever, so we need to make these changes in the off-season, which is now, so we can gain that consistency, so we can run quick in the heat of the day, but when it gets good, then we can really turn it up. So that's what we've done. Essentially, we changed the 4-link in the car. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, being as transparent as I would like to be, we put different 4-link brackets in it. We went to the infinite adjustable 4-link brackets. They're the same ones that I put in the Colorado truck I was building. The Black Sheep will probably get the same treatment. I'm tired of just racing a car that's handicapped. Like the Black Sheep has been handicapped, where we have chains on the rear end. With the combo and that, I mean, it's going to make a lot of power. You got to have everything right. So more than likely going to be doing the same thing to that as well, along with switching over to a floater rear end. But for everybody asking what's going on with Slick Rick, we plan to do some testing next month if the weather agrees with us, just to shake the car down with the new changes. The way the car is built, it's pretty redundant and seems to work well. We just have to do some testing. You know, we did like some shoddy testing last year where we went to Darlington and just made some laps on Wednesday night, testing tunes and stuff like that, and got a little bit of data here and a little bit of data there. But when we had our most success, that's when we would just go and just rent the track. We'd just maybe test for 3 days straight, get the car really dialed in, then go and race. And you're going to win your races at the shop, and you're going to win your races testing. That's where you win the race. You don't win the race by showing up and saying, hey, I'm going to try this. That doesn't really work. So I guess in a nutshell, what's going on with Slick Rick? So Slick Rick got some modifications to the chassis, got 2 springs on it, so now we're able to scale the car and really set it up right. We're ready to do some testing with it. I think we've made some great changes along the way, and we should really be able to be rocking and rolling this season with Slick Rick. Other than that, I mean, my goal as far as running the race program is I think we're putting the right people in the right places, and the team that we have now, I feel like, has the potential to be is very strong, but has the potential to be the strongest we have ever been, which is very exciting for the future. So, you know, I've said it in the past, like, man, I want to race a lot. I do, but we also have to work a lot, and the work stuff to me is just as exciting as the race car stuff. But being put in these high stress situations, having to perform and logistically figure out these absolutely insane issues and circumstances and timelines and moving assets and resources, that is so exciting to me. So I put a lot of focus in that, and what I've learned is we can't do as much stuff here in the shop as we were. We still do a lot, yes, but some of the other stuff, like, we have outsourced. Like, I wasn't going to put the brackets in the car. The other projects, Devin's going to be wiring up the Black Sheep. We have a little bit of work to do left on the Black Sheep. And he's going to be wiring up the Bad Apple soon after that. So I have some work to do on the Bad Apple, getting it ready to be wired. But, you know, come February, come early February, mid-February, we're really going to be rocking and rolling with Devin Vanderhoof at HDR Innovations, getting the Black Sheep to do the wiring on that with the Hemi in it, testing Slick Rick, and then hopefully having everything on the Bad Apple wrapped up. So as soon as we get the Black Sheep back from wiring, boom, we send off the Bad Apple. So that is the tentative game plan, and now you guys are up to speed. So in closing, if you guys are interested in storm work, hit me up, john.recovery@gmail.com. Training Day Rodeo will be the first link in the description below if you're interested in that. It's also got my email on there as well. Click on that, say you're interested, say you might be attending. If you have any questions, you can email me. I'll disperse you to the right people. Slick Rick, we're going to pick up next week and then go testing hopefully early February. Black Sheep will be off getting wired, and the Bad Apple will be soon there after that. So 2024 has the potential to shape up to be a busy race season, busy work season, and some new cars hitting the track. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already gone down and subscribed to the channel, I really would appreciate if you do so. And just thank you guys so much for supporting. It means the world. We'll see you guys in the next upload.